It'll be different this year at the polls because of the state's voter ID law, and clerks around the area are trying to make sure voters will be ready before going to cast their ballots. And Fox 11's Bill Miston takes a closer look.
It was a day of errands for Janice Johnson and her husband.
A very easy process, yes.
The Johnsons recently moved and needed to register with the Appleton City Clerk ahead of the general election. The Appleton Clerk's office says a total of 7 people registered, including the couple.
Simple. We had proof of who we were and where we lived, and that's all we needed.
But for some voters, you'll likely need an extra item to cast your ballot this year. That's because after a federal court decision, the state's voter ID law is in place, meaning you'll have to show a photo ID at the polls. Earlier this year, the federal judge that put the law on hold estimated the state has about 300,000 voters that don't have the proper ID. The state does not have an estimate, but the Wisconsin Department of Transportation is providing free state ID cards for those who need them. And clerks say now's the time to field voters' concerns as the days tick away.
So don't be afraid to call your municipal clerk and ask them if you yourself are questioning what is proper identification, what is a photo ID. Give the clerk a call.
Menasha City Clerk Debbie Galeazzi says her office is putting in extra hours to train poll workers and get Election Day practices in place, especially since the city never had to implement the law 2 years ago.
We did not have a February 2012 election. So I had been informing my poll workers and going through what the process would be.
The 2011 law was only in place for the February 2012 primary before a court put it on hold. Galeazzi says she doesn't expect there to be any major issues unless there's another legal left turn regarding the implementation of the voter ID law in the coming weeks. In Menasha, Bill Miston, Fox 11 News.
The legal challenge over the voter ID law is not over. 2 civil rights groups are asking the federal appeals court to reconsider its decision.